All right, so today we are chatting with Makenna Myler, a professional runner for Asics. Makenna, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on. Excited to be here.
How many times have you heard, like, hey, your last name's Myler, la, la, la. Like, you must get sick of that.
I actually don't, because people don't connect that. I wish they'd connected it more. Like,
Oh,
yeah, do you know my last name's Myler? I should be running.
At some point, if you decide, I know that you did your marathon in New York, but if you decide that's going to be your sport, you could be like, you change your last name to marathoner.
Yeah, maybe that would be even more appropriate. That actually, when we got married, the morning of our wedding, I ran an all-out mile because I was like, oh, I'm becoming a miler, and that's kind of how the mile thing started with even the running pregnant for the mile, and yeah.
So your husband, is he a runner too?
No, I mean he can,
but it's not like his name is ironic that he's a miler and he doesn't run miles.
There's no irony to his name. He's more into triathlon, so he loves biking and
okay.
swimming.
See, so. I knew that. See,
yeah, so, we should rewind here. So, okay. We met Makenna when we were at the Cayano 30 Summit in Boulder, and we had just finished up dinner.
Drinks, a lot of drinks.
Had several beverages, and ran into you afterwards. And Thomas, what did you ask?
Well, I thought during the presentation they had mentioned a triathlete, and I didn't see who they posted. And you have to understand, Makenna, I'm a shoe nerd. I'm not an athlete follower as much. Like, I know now I've become really good fans of some of the Asics athletes because we've gotten to meet them, like you, and like Emma and Lindsay Flanagan and Nico. We get to meet them, and then I become fans. But I'm not like someone who's like, going over to Sidious Mag and checking out, who's running what. Yeah. So we're in the elevator, and you look fit and everything, and I'm like, okay, you must be the triathlon person. Yeah. Right. So I go ahead.
Go ahead.
So Megan gets mad because a lot of times when I don't know people's name, I go,
he guesses.
Hey, are you, Steven? And their name is like Bob or something like that. And I'm like, she's like always doing that with her hand over her face. So when I said, hey, are you a triathlete? I saw Megan immediately cringe.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I mean, to be fair, when he was introducing us, he introduced me and Sam around the same time, and then he also talked about Sam's wife being pregnant, and so that's really where I thought you got it from. So
plus gin drinks, wine, beer. You don't drink, do you?
I don't drink. No.
Yeah, so you were clear. My embarrassment was crystal clear to you.
Crystal clear to you.
Yeah. For me, it's all a hazy memory. I remember your van. So we roll up, and you guys drove to the event.
Yeah, we did. We wanted to test out the van route and see if that was just a little bit easier, especially with being able to have a home base while we were there while going to events. Just because with breastfeeding, sometimes, or with putting him down to nap so that he could nap in the van while we're doing the photo shoot, or just like I said, having a not crazy place with a bunch of people talking so he's not distracted, so I could go feed him in the car and come back. It worked out really well, actually, driving the van there.
I didn't even think about breastfeeding, did you?
Yeah, well, I knew that was part of it because I think maybe you had mentioned it. But so remind us where home is for you.
So we're in Utah, and so it was an 8-hour drive out. We just camped on the way out and on the way back. But yeah, we're
just camped for someone who doesn't camp. What, you're driving along the road, you see a spot that looks great, and you just pull over and you're like, here we go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wait, it's not even a campground? Like a trailer park or anything?
No, there are campgrounds. On the way out, you will kind of look like, oh, this is a national park, and you can pull over and find kind of, campgrounds, I guess. like you're allowed to camp there. We weren't camping illegally, if that's what you're asking.
Well, and Walmarts, apparently you can camp at Walmarts.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, and that's the beauty of the van. It's like if you couldn't find a camp spot out in the mountains, then you just go to like a parking lot that you're allowed to park in overnight. It works.
So, I mean, this all sounds like a lot. Like you're running, you're pumping out kids, you're in a van down by the river. So is this you're choosing all these choices?
Yeah. We're kind of unconventional. Even when we went to the Olympic trials for the 10K and track, we rented a van and went out there. So instead of having to hassle with like a place to stay, we just camped the night before. And it was so hot the night before that it was kind of nice to be closer to the river and the mountains. Yeah, and I guess I just choose it because, I don't know, it just feels more in my control. And
I like it.
Yeah, I don't mind being out in the wild. It's nice. It's rejuvenating.
I used to have a Westie. Do you know what that is?
Like a Westphalia?
Yeah. And with the pop-up top and I used to have that. And I actually did sleep in it one night before a marathon. And then I never did it again.
Why didn't you like it?
It was hot. I think it started raining at one point, so it was loud. You know, it was a lot of stuff. But you're doing it in like is that a Mercedes Sprinter van or?
Yeah, so we just both times we've just rented. So we don't own that. I wish that we owned that. Right now we're kind of trying to put more money towards buying a house. We don't really have the money to buy a Sprinter, but
Asics has a van.
They do?
They do. We used it last year with the van tour.
It's custom wrapped Asics.
And it's a Mercedes Sprinter. You might be able to get your hands on it and be like, look.
He has relayed this to me.
Yeah, you should be like, I'll drive it everywhere with the Asics branding on it.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll keep that in my driveway. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think you could do it. I know it was in. Do you remember? Bob Fay?
Maybe.
Bob's one of the Asics guys. Yeah, he's one of the Asics guys, and it's in his driveway right now, I think.
Oh, what the heck? I haven't met him. That's why I don't know about it, because I haven't met him. I need to meet him.
All right.
I'll hit it off, and I'll
get a hold of that van.
Yeah, get a hold of Bob. Now I know. You guys are connecting the dots. Great.
You're going to have to print T-shirts and hand them out, though.
Oh, man. But yeah.
All right, so...
Go
ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I'm surprised the rain didn't put you to sleep, that you didn't like the rain from the van. Because it's like, we kind of try to find the river. It's nice noises.
The night before a marathon, I don't sleep anyway.
Yeah, right.
You know how it is. It's like you get up 5 times to pee. Well, I don't know if you know it, but,
Yeah.
That's for me.
You're right. I do. I'm a pretty good sleeper. I'm not usually one that's like really restless before.
That might be your secret.
Yeah. Actually, people have asked what my secret is, and usually that's what I spill the beans about. Like, one of my very, very good talents is sleeping.
Oh, wow. How would you like to have that?
Honestly, that's a talent I would love. Like, that sounds amazing.
I think I would give up 10 minutes in the marathon to be able to sleep really well.
Yeah.
Well, you probably would chop 10 minutes in the marathon if you slept really well.
Yeah.
True.
It'd even out.
What were you going to say, Megan? Sorry.
I just wanted to, so let's go like way back, like your entry into the sport. Do you come from a family of runners? How did that all happen?
Great question. My dad was actually a volleyball player. He played for UCLA, and then he played for Rio. Yeah, and he was really good. And he's still playing like competitively. So I kind of thought I would go the volleyball route, maybe in junior high. And then I turned out to be 5'3", and just wasn't happening for me.
It's funny because I told Megan, I said, I think you're about the same size as Makenna, and she goes, no, she's shorter than I am, and you guys are the same size.
I tell people I'm 5'4" because I'm like 5'3" and 3/4, so I just give myself that. But we're probably the same height.
But once you throw super shoes on, you guys are like 5'6".
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I get so much platform from the shoes. I look way taller when I'm running, which is surprising, Megan. I don't know why you didn't think I was like way tall.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So your dad, was he kind of like that Top Gun volleyball player, like greased up on the beach kind of volleyball player? Or is it like the nerdy indoor with knee pads?
Both, really. So him and my mom actually would play beach tournaments. He would draw a square, and he would tell my mom to stay in the square, and he would get the ball to her. And they would win these tournaments to buy, like, to get grocery money. And
Wow, a
Whoa.
hustler.
it was pretty great. He's like, stay in the square. I'll just get the ball to you. You set me the ball, and I'll spike it. Like, that's all that needed to happen.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
But yeah, he was more indoor with like a full team. I think everyone kind of like, it's like saying, do you run indoor track or outdoor track? It's like you do beach and indoor.
Well, it'd be more like, do you run sexy track or normal track?
Yeah, maybe. And they've asked him, in his prime, they asked him to be on the Olympic team, and I think he said no, because
wow.
I'm one of 7 kids, and
Wow.
Whoa.
he was kind of nervous about that, and he was like, I got to get my job rolling, and kind of.
Yeah, you do. You better start earning. Got mouths to feed.
Yeah, right. He was just more into his family at the time, so.
So you guys have an entire volleyball team in your house?
Pretty much. I'm like, I could just coach maybe, and then everyone else would actually be good, because everyone else turned out to be 5'7" or taller. So.
Is there anybody as fast as you though?
Actually, yeah. My little sister, she ran and did the heptathlon at UW. And honestly, I always tell people, I'm like, she is way more talented than me. It was just like she didn't love it like I did, and so she was over it. She ran like a 2:10 off of nothing, and just like she's an 800 runner. In high school, they used to be like, okay, you can only do one more rep, but if CJ catches you, you have to do another rep. And so,
oh no.
Send the boys out like on a 300. She'd catch them on a 300. Like she was
Wow.
so fast. It was just like he would give her like 3 seconds and then be like, "Okay, go get him, CJ." And then whoever she got, they had to do another rep. It was great.
Where do you fall in the 7?
So I'm right in the middle, number 4. So I have an older brother and then a younger sister. I'm sandwiched between them. And then my older brother really was super influential with me running, actually, because I just wanted to do everything he did. And he joined the cross-country team his freshman year, and he would come back and be like, our warm-up was 2 miles. And I was like, what? Like, 1 mile was crazy to me. I was like, that is crazy. And then they do the workout. Anyway, so he's always been a little rascal. So I've kind of followed after him with that.
So you've already got 2. Are you going for 7 yourself? Like, do you want a big family?
I always tell Mike, I'm like, we should have started like 10 years ago, because I'm like getting too old. I can't do 7. No, I'm actually the one I think that would want a bigger family. He doesn't really care either way. But yeah, we just take it one at a time. You can't ask me right now. I'm in the baby stage. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, big mistake. Well, it's crazy because I will say, just from an outside perspective, like watching you and Mike, he's so good with the kids, and he was very hands-on, and he was like, every time I turned around, he had the boy in his arms, and he's keeping an eye on the little one that's running around. Like, it seems like he's really into it.
He is he's very masterful at the co-parenting. Like, I always joke too, everyone's like, this woman who can do it all. I'm like, I don't do it all. My husband does it all. Like, he is the mom. He is working full time. He is getting his workout in. Like, he is very involved, and it's amazing. He's very intentional, and he likes to set out goals and talk about how to better be at the understanding of our kids and where they're at, and just how to master their strengths to get. I mean, right now we've only really done it with one, but hopefully that'll still happen with Wakefield. But yeah, we're really into it. It's really fun.
Where did you guys meet?
So we actually met climbing. We were climbing at this local place called the Quarry when we were in college, and I was climbing there. I used to boulder. Are you guys into climbing at all? A little bit.
No.
When I was a kid, trees and stuff. Sure.
Yeah. I did that too. Yeah.
I mean, I watched the handhold movie. What was it? The one where he climbed up the face
Oh
of.
yeah. Oh my gosh, what is that called? But I know what you're talking about. Up in
Yeah,
Yosemite. That was
yeah.
amazing.
What Half Dome or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I watched that.
was close to climbing you came to. But I was climbing with one of his friends, and he said, "Oh, my friend's gonna come climbing with us tomorrow. Like, is that okay?" I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." And so we all met up, and he came in, and he started climbing these super hard routes that I was like, "Didn't you?" So in our church, you serve like a 2-year mission, and he came back. He had just come back from a 2-year mission, like 2 days before. And I was like, didn't you just get off a mission? Like, you're not allowed to be working out and stuff. Like, how are you doing this? And so I came to learn that he was a former collegiate gymnast,
Oh wow.
Michigan. And yeah, it kind of went off from there, I guess. It was like,
Did
wow.
Did you go on mission too?
I did not, no.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So where did he go? I'm sorry for my ignorance. Are the guys the only one to go on mission?
No, girls go on missions too, but it's just not as pushed. It's more pushed for men to go on missions. And he went to Romania. So
Okay, yeah. That's usually someplace like away, right?
yeah, totally. So you don't really pick. They just they pick for you and tell you where you're gonna go. So yeah,
It's like a traveling nurse.
yeah, yeah. Trying to go help people. It's kind of the same.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's awesome.
where we. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the running real quick. When, like, Dad was a volleyball player, but your brother was very influential. When did you realize, like, running was your jam?
I mean, there was like sparks of it, right? So I enjoyed. I was kind of weird because I liked. So like I mentioned, I was like the middle of 7 kids. I kind of liked when my mom would forget to pick me up, and I would get to walk or run home, which is like it's like a 2 mile away, from like the junior high that I lived at, and I was like sweet. Like people would be like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, my mom's coming," but then I would just like peace out home because I just thought it was super cool. Like distance was really cool for me, and then in PE they had the mile, and at our school they had this like 6-minute mile shirt that you got for the girls if you ran in the 6 minutes, and then 5 minutes if you ran for the guys. And I ran a 5:59, and there was like rumors in the school like, oh, she just gave it to her, like and so I earned this like 5-minute mile shirt that I was like so stoked about, and this was in 7th grade, and people were like, yeah, she like stopped the watch early. I was like, what? Like people think I didn't run the 5-minute mile. And so I landed up with this kid who was in 8th grade who was like, I want to come race you. And so his whole like health class came and watched as we raced the mile. And he's like this super tall, lanky kid. And, I'm super mini. I was probably like 5'0" or 4'10", I don't know. And I'm in my big like DC shoes, like the big shoes. Yeah. And they've got like a hole in the top, and it's like a dirt track. And I just remember that I think was where running really took off for me, because there was like another kid in the race, but he kind of fell off after 2 laps. And me and this big lanky 8th grader were racing it out, and I passed him in the last like 200 and just my life, but I ended up running a 5:47, and I was like, yeah, like I am a 5-minute miler. Anyway, so I think that's really where it took off, and they did this, what's it called? Just like a track meet, but it's not like you prepared for it. It's just like, who wants to run the 800?
Like Olympic Day or something like that.
Yeah. But it was between all the middle schools. And so I remember they did it at the closest high school that I was going to. And when I went and raced there, I was kind of winning the events that I ran. And the high school coach kind of was like, okay, I want her to come do cross country. And so when I was doing soccer, because I was like, I'm going to do soccer because volleyball's not working out, he made all of the freshmen come race an 800. And anyway, I ended up winning because the fastest girl had asthma and she dropped out the first lap. And then it was just me. Once again, in inadequate footwear because I didn't have any shoes. So I was barefoot. And he was like, hey, you need to come run cross country for me. So
that's awesome. What happened to the tall, lanky guy? Is he crying in a corner? Like he never went pro, right?
He should have. I hope he went pro. No, I actually.
It turns out it was Craig. Yeah.
He turns out to be crazy fast. That would be amazing.
He's like, I'm never losing to a girl again. No.
Yeah, surprisingly, like he was really gracious about it and like awesome. He's like, you did really good, and then he actually never kept running, so maybe that was a problem.
You ruined this kid's life. He could have gotten a scholarship to someplace, Now he's got nothing.
Yeah.
He's camping in a Walmart parking lot.
Yeah, with his sprinter ball. Probably. Yeah, so that's kind of how it all started. I don't know if you guys heard me talking at the event in Asics at the summit. What was it called? The panel.
The panel.
Yeah. So I'd mentioned I kind of fell off the map after I matured. So I got like heavier, I got curvier, my period started, I didn't know like how to deal with that. And I was, had this, like I told you, I was like winning things and as a little girl and just super fast. Like my brother, even when we were in like 4th and 5th grade, he would line me up against his friends to race his friends. Cause he was like, my little sister's so fast. And so I like race his friends before school. And, that stopped happening. All the boys started getting faster because, of course, they're like turning into men. And I managed to peek through a little, like at times, but I had like a really hard time in high school being consistent. Like I squeezed in like a 4:58 mile by the end of my senior year because I just wanted it so bad. But like my body was just like not working for me. I felt like I was constantly working against my body. And so then I went to BYU and then it was just kind of the same thing, this like on and off, like just working against my body, would like peek through, get on the top 10 board, and then like just cave the rest of the season because I couldn't sustain whatever I was doing. And so I really feel like running didn't take off again until after I kind of learned how to work with my body, like as a woman. But anyway.
BYU has I was going to say the S word, ton of great runners coming out of there.
Yes, yeah.
But who did you have any of the people that we would know on your track team while you were there?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how long you've been following the sport. So I had people like Cecily Lemon or Morgan Hawes. They were like incredible 10K runners, or Kate Bowen. And then like Lacey Kramer was like an 800 meter winner. Sarah Edwards. They're all like Kelsey Brown. We had some like really incredible standouts, but our depth wasn't quite the same as it is now.
What is this? How has Brigham Young been so successful with running? I mean, it really has turned out some incredible distance runners.
Yeah, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Like they've drawn a lot of really incredible women. I mean, Coach Shane. So I had Patrick Shane as my coach, and he was a phenomenal coach. Like he really knew what he's doing. For where I was at, like physically, I felt like he did more with me, like than other coaches could have done. Like I performed way better than where I should have been, even though it still wasn't like that great. At times. But then Diljit Taylor came like right after I graduated, and she's just been incredible with the women, just building a new culture because, things were just kind of like going down a little bit. And so Patrick Shane decided like to retire and be done. And so she kind of built the culture back up of like a fresh new with women. And I actually went back and like worked out with her girls a lot. So I know a lot of the younger girls, even though I didn't like compete with them, like Courtney and Whitney and Anna and Olivia, like all these girls that were really great standouts. And now, I mean, there's just a lot of healthy young women that BYU draws. So they're, and it's like cheap to go to that school. I mean, there's a lot of little things you could say that are helpful.
Bring people in.
Yeah. Because if you like don't make it on a scholarship, you can kind of still go and then like, because there's a lot of people that happens to where they weren't like the best and then they end up being the best because they work for it, you know? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
After you had such, I don't want to call it effortless success in running, but like you were pretty successful right off the bat when you started running. And then you go and you struggle a little bit through high school and college. Did that take any of your joy or love of the sport out of it?
Yeah, that is a great question because I feel like I had to do so much self-reflection there and be like, do I really like this sport? Like, why do I like this sport? And why do I keep trying at something that I'm clearly not good at that point? I was like, what am I doing?
That's where I am right now.
And my mom would actually, she would always be like, McKenna, you can quit anytime you want. Just be done. Like, you do not have to run. And that was so helpful because I got to be like, no, I want to do this for me. Like, I really want to be good at this. And then it kind of went back and forth between being, you know, obviously you love something you're good at and that you're improving at. And so that was always a big draw. But then I just kept coming back to it because I realized that I really liked who I was when I was striving for goals and running. Like I slept better, I ate better, the people I was connecting with were just like really great people. And I was like, why would I stop doing this? Like even if I'm not
That's a beautiful way to look at it.
Yeah. So yeah, I just like kept going with it and things started working out.
I'm gonna guess since you had 7 siblings. And your first shoe sponsor was DC, which, you know, skateboarding shoes. And then you're running barefoot. I'm guessing that like you didn't become a shoe nerd out of the gate. And now you're sponsored by Asics. Do you love trying all the shoes and getting into the different shoes?
Yes, I do. I actually, because people started asking me like, do you like this shoe? I'm like, oh wait, I haven't even ran in that shoe. Like I should try that. I wouldn't say I'm a shoe nerd. I still have some room for improvement there. I could like, I could know a little bit more and like even know the names of shoes better. But I definitely know. I guess I've accumulated, you could say, because I've kind of. This is what I really like, and I'm really stoked to be sponsored by Asics because I was never sponsored. I kind of just ran in whatever people would give to me for free, and so I really did get to see all the different types of shoes because I ran in Nikes at BYU, like I ran in Skechers for a second, and I always came back to Asics. And I ran a New Balance for a second, and there's a lot of great shoes in everyone's lineups, but I kind of always came back to Asics for training shoes because I just never got injured in their shoes. And so going back to being a running nerd and trying their stuff, which has been awesome. I feel like I'm always, for every run has like a different purpose now, which is really fun to grab like a different pair of shoes for every different run, which is nice.
You gonna follow that one up, Meg?
What?
Well, no, go ahead.
I want the rotation.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. So I have the the gel Tribuco Max for trails.
Yeah.
Just like a really
The 2?
Yeah, the shoe.
Yeah, it's the Tribuco Max 2.
Oh, Tribuco Max 2. Oh, I think I have the 2. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And yeah, I really like that shoe for running trails, which is fun because I have quite a few trails around here. And then the Super Blast, which is like really great for just rolling on long runs. Always grabbing that because it's still like springy enough that, but it's still like a trainer and it's not, oh my gosh.
Plated?
Blanking on shoes. It's not Metaspeed Sky, it's not like your workout shoe. And then the Nimbus I usually grab for like easy runs. That's always been my go-to. But lately when like the bottom of my foot, the plantar starts kind of like acting up, I kind of go with the Kayano because there's just like a little more stability to help with that arch. And the new Kayano they just nailed that. So even with like my foot's not hurting, I'll still grab that. So I'll alternate between those two. And then if it's just like an easy go-to run, like in the afternoon, that's less, 4 or 5 miles, I'll do the Cumulus or the Dynablast, which I like
All
both
right.
those, they're both responsive.
I
But,
didn't hear Nova Blast in there.
Oh yeah, I'm not a Nova Blast. I like Nova Blast, but they just didn't respond like super great to my feet. Yeah. The newest,
All right.
that's a lie. The newest version is good. And I will do like an afternoon run in those. Yeah.
All right. And we noticed when we went for a run with you, you wore a speed suit.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a fashion choice. Like you don't go lightly into a speed suit, right? This is like you're like I'm going full speed suit for my jogs. Like I was uncomfortable the first time I wore tights without shorts over the top of them. Like you're like
Totally.
Is wearing a speed suit similar, like where you have to get used to it and comfortable?
That's funny you say that because I was totally checking myself out in the mirror because I was like, am I sweating? Just like down, like I'm getting this flash. I'm like, wow, like, dang it. There's like nothing to cover that up. Or like, but I don't know, you just own it because you're like, whatever, I'm running. But you're right. There was like a little bit of uncomfort, but I think a little bit of uncomfort kind of makes you go faster,
Yeah,
like,
because I feel
sure.
like you can't run easy in a speed suit.
Yeah,
You're like,
which is like I actually did a workout that morning, and then my cool down was like running with you guys, and so I did feel justified in wearing the speed suit. I needed to feel like kind of speedy for the moment.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of having a shoe rotation too. Is like when you go to put those fast day shoes on, it's workout time. It's time to go. And I would guess when you put your superhero speed suit on, it's also like that. Would you add a cape ever?
I bet it would naturally find itself there because, you put a jacket over and then you just gotta like hook it somewhere. And I usually
That's the thing.
Yeah, on the back of my sports bra, so it just would naturally look like a cape. You're right.
When did Asics come into the picture?
So Asics found me right after I qualified or ran the qualifier for the Olympic trials in the 10K. Ben was there when I ran it, and he said he saw me go grab my baby right after the race, and he was like, okay, wait, I gotta see this moment. That was a really special moment for me, actually.
Isn't Ben isn't he a badass?
Oh my gosh, I love Ben. He's so
I know. He's my we want him on the podcast. He will not come on. He's got too many stories.
He's got so many stories. I got to spend so much time with him on my way to Spain last year. I didn't realize how lucky I was, like getting all these stories from him because we got to like sit next to each other.
Okay. I got a plan. Next time you go with him, I'm going to give you a recording device. And you can't wear your speed suit because he'll see it. So you're going to have to wear like a sweatshirt or something.
I'll wear baggy sweatshirts, you can't see it.
All right, yeah, and just talk into the shoulder, and get the skinny for me because he's got so much. But you have a kid and you ran over afterwards to pick that kid up, but I think you kind of like made a big splash when you ran 9 months pregnant in the mile, and Sports Illustrated picked it up and everything like that. But like you also got like, did you feel like everybody had an opinion on it?
Yes. So actually, so when a little background on that. So when my husband posted about me running my 5-minute mile, 9 months pregnant, I wasn't even really on social media. And like halfway through the day, he was like, McKenna, you're like, this video is getting like so many hits and so many views. And he's like, he was like, he's not Sports Illustrated, ESPN had just picked up and they want to post it. So they posted it and then they took it down because it was too controversial. Like,
oh, wow.
People were, like, freaking out about it. And then they put it back up and then they took it down. I was like, oh my gosh. So I didn't even like realize some of the stuff that was going on. But yeah, so it was very controversial, I think, at first. People were kind of like freaking out. But then I think the more, what's the word? people who realized reason and that it was okay. Like we're like, okay, let's like push this out, and show that it is a good thing, and like the baby was healthy. And honestly, for me, it kind of like ticked my mind a little bit, because I was like, oh my gosh, what if my baby ends up being like totally messed up? And people were like, yeah, like you're right. Like,
oh wow. So when you did it, it wasn't like I want to prove a point. It was just like, hey, I'm doing this, and Mike happened to have it on video.
No, well, so there was like two things that went into that. Like I told you, the Myler thing. One of my friends was like, "Hey, are you gonna do an all-out mile like you did with like the morning of your wedding? Are you gonna do that, with your pregnancy?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, like I should do that." Mike, Mike and I actually had talked about it, in month 2 of the pregnancy. We were like talking about running, and I was like, you know what? I think I can break 8 minutes in the mile, like by the end of 9 months, because I was like doing the math of how much like weight I'm gonna gain and like the paces I was running then. And he started laughing, and he's like, "No way! Like I will be taking you to the hospital. You'll be in labor if like you go do that." And I was like, "Okay, I bet you like $100 that I will be able to, break 8 minutes in the mile." And so when that rolled around, we knew that I would break 8 minutes in the mile because of the workouts I'd been doing and the runs. So it was kind of like, hey, do you want to just do that mile? Because we said we would. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And so that morning, he was actually late because he was doing his own run and trying to come back by the time I like finished my warm up. So I missed the start, but so then he started filming it, and he thought it was just funny and wanted to kind of like update our friends and be like, hey, I ran this mile.
Look at her being a nut.
Yeah, like she's this girl. Exactly. Like, let's just be funny. And even that one, actually, I mean, maybe you guys saw this. Some people were like, "What happened to your grandma?" But my mom called me right before I was about to start that mile, and she was like, "Makenna, like, are you guys close by? Because grandma just fell on the floor." And like maybe Mike can come like help pick her up, because I can't pick her up by myself. And then my brother was on the way to go help her, and I was like, "Oh, like we have to go help grandma right now." And she's like, "Just run your mile and then come after." Anyway, and so Mike made a joke about that in the video, and people were like, I'm like, who thinks that their grandma's relying on a 9-month like pregnant lady? Like she's not. There was other people on the way. Like anyway, there's a lot of funny backstory to that.
Yeah, like a lot of drama.
Yeah, totally. I finished it ticked. I was like, oh, that mile was so dumb. I didn't even run that fast. And then I was like, let's go to my grandma's house. And then
Little did you know you're about to blow up the internet.
Yeah, little did I know. It was pretty funny.
Okay, so what you mentioned that, you struggled a lot in high school and college with like figuring out like physically how to get where you wanted to be. What did you figure out of yourself that you now are a very successful, and you're continuing to be a very successful runner
and triathlete?
I actually have done a triathlon. I will plug that in there. I did a
half. Aren't they a pain in the ass? They are a pain in the ass.
I cried when I was on the bike. I was on the bike just crying. I was like, I hate the bike. I hate it so.
I'm with you.
Did the swim
one
scare
too.
you
It was
at all?
Awful.
I actually do like swimming. I grew up swimming in the ocean and just being comfortable with that. So I was fine with the swim. You're scared of swimming? Is that what you're saying?
I also grew up near an ocean and swam in the ocean. Swimming, it like for 2 miles. Well, how long did I have to swim?
It's like a mile.
A mile.
Yeah.
The half is a mile.
Was it? I don't remember. It was. You're so. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was a mile. It's so long. And the one time I did it, it was choppy water. I was drinking salt water and stuff, and I couldn't see the bottom.
There's people kicking you in the face.
Yeah, I just didn't like it.
Totally.
Yeah.
I will say my swim experience wasn't that great either. Even though I'm fine with swimming, it was like super choppy, and you like, go up and the water just goes in your mouth, and you're like, oh my God, look at this stuff. But I was just fine with that, and I came out.
Did you win the triathlon?
No. Well, no. What did I think?
But you got first place in the run though, right?
I was the third or I can't remember now. I was third or fifth fastest man in the like
nice.
Pros for the run.
Yeah. Nice.
Like
crushing dreams.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, Megan. Let's go back to your question.
It's fine.
Remind me what you said. I totally got off on the tangent.
So what, like you said that Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I wouldn't say that I had like a eating disorder by any means, but I definitely didn't have like a healthy relationship with food. I would totally do the like be as strict as I could, which this developed in high school because I remember I asked my mom, like, Mom, you need to help me like eat healthy, quote unquote, like what we thought was healthy, right? It was
Yeah.
like cutting out fats and like
Yeah.
at the time and either going lower carb. I'm like, what was I eating? Like, oh my gosh.
Lettuce.
And trying to eat more vegetables. And so I'd be like really strict. And then as soon as, the reins were off or nobody was watching, it just started like inching into that territory of like eating by myself and like eating more, like because I didn't like when people would like comment like, oh, like, aren't you trying to run like really fast? Like, why are you eating a tub of ice cream? I'm like, because I want to eat a tub of ice cream. Like, don't question me. No, but yeah, so I was kind of like on the binging side of things, just constantly overeating in the off seasons and stuff, and which honestly, like as a maturing woman, that was actually probably a good thing to an extent. Like I wasn't missing out on bone density, and that's a lot. I think that's a big reason why like running pregnant and breastfeeding and running like has been successful for me, is because like I'm not dealing with like stress fractures or anything because I was getting enough nutrition, even if it was over nutrition, in a sense, while like my body was maturing. But that wasn't like super great for running, right? Like yo-yo dieting is just not great. It's really stressful for your body. And so that it was partially figuring that out. And then, figuring out that, I work out best when I'm on my period and the week after. That was like a big deal, figuring that out. I was like, wait, like this is when I feel good, not, and like not being scared of the menstrual cycle at all. And then figuring out, in the 2 weeks after, which I'm oversimplifying a lot right now, but the 2 weeks after or before your period, that there were just different needs of being more specific and eating more carbs. So my husband and I, sorry, there's so much backstory, but my husband and I went vegan for a little bit, and that was like the most carbs I'd ever eaten because I was always like so scared of carbs in a sense, because that's like what made you gain weight.
Yeah.
And when I did eat carbs, like I did feel super fluffy, probably because I was so restrictive. And then when you eat, like my body's just like holding on to it. And so I just didn't know how to eat carbs. And so going vegan was super helpful because then all of a sudden I was like basically eating just carbs and running started going really well. But then we found kind of a taper that went off of running, or just like power related taper after like 3 or 4 months, that we were like, okay, we need to like kind of add back in meat and all that, and just like figuring out like how to make that work and how your body best responded to like low inflammation. So anyway, so now like I just have like realized the importance of carbs, and like the quality of carbs have changed in my life. I'm not eating like a gallon of ice cream every other night, which has been like really helpful. And my body like doesn't want that, because this is like another tangent. I remember talking to Coach Eystone. Do you guys know who Ed Eystone is?
I don't.
He's the men's BYU coach.
Okay.
He's amazing. He's phenomenal. He's produced so many, national champions, and just like his team always has a lot of depth. And he was a Olympian himself, and he's done like some incredible things I can't actually remember, but with like winning like the 5K, 10K in the same like national championship and Olympic stuff. Yeah, he's awesome. But anyway,
Oh, that I some.
all back then. He was like, you need to just listen to your body, because he just didn't understand. And I talked to Clayton Young. You guys know Clayton Young?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we know Clayton Young. He was doing he was doing graduate school with my sister, and so I would run into him a lot at BYU, and because I would go see my sister and he was there, and we talked about it, and he was like, yeah, why don't you just like listen to your body? And I was like, if I listen to my body, like I'm gonna go eat like a
Ice
full
cream.
burrito, yeah, and then go get like a gotta love it, like gotta have it at Cold Stone. Like, just listen to my body.
If I listen to my body, I drink every night.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
Something.
yeah.
Is that the
So
win?
yeah, actually, Clayton was on the podcast
Yeah.
before.
Oh yeah, yeah. Clayton's great.
What is the flavor of ice cream that we're gonna go with?
Yeah. Oh man, that just depends on the night. But yeah, I really, it's like you go through phases. Like sometimes you're just like into the mint moose tracks. Have you had the mint moose tracks?
I haven't. Meg won't eat mint.
I don't like mint and chocolate together. Those are not good.
What?
I know. I'm with you. I love a mint chocolate chip. I'm into it.
So good. And then like you can't really go wrong with Oreo, but sometimes it's like you just have Oreo all the time. You can't. It's not as good.
Yeah.
So I mean, coffee. The coffee flavored. What's it called? Ben and Jerry's is so good. That one is good. With like the
And I like stuff with peanut butter in it.
yeah, your peanut butter.
Like peanut butter cup. Yeah. That's a good one. All right. Let's go back to running.
No, but so did you just figure, like, obviously, was this just all trial and error? Like, where were you getting your information specifically, like, for women too? Like, how important it is during the time of month you have to take in more carbs here and there? Like, where were you getting all this information?
Yeah, so it started with trial and error, right? Like I was constantly trying to learn and understand what was going on. I just like didn't always have the words for it. And then I came across Dr. Stacy Sims' book, right? And that really is like what launched it, where I was like, it's just started validating all these things. I was like, oh my gosh, like I knew it. Like this is like, yeah, just validating every experience I'd gone through. And then, that is really what launched it. And then just like listening to different podcasts and stuff, that really has like helped so much with people relaying knowledge that they have in a short amount of time.
So do you feel like you've like really nailed it now? Like you know exactly what you need on the day to day, or are you still figuring it out?
Yeah, so that's what's tricky. So I started learning that and like applying it really right before I got pregnant with my first kid. And so then I couldn't really apply it because you don't have your period when you're pregnant, right?
True.
And, yeah. And then once you have your kid, for me at least, which this isn't always the case for everybody, but my cycle didn't start for a full year because I was still breastfeeding for a year. And so then I had this like space in between when I was done breastfeeding and then when I had my next kid, which was, oh my gosh. So February, April, May, which was only like 3 or 4 months. So then
But here's a crazy thing. Like you're trying to figure out your diet, and
Yeah.
obviously your diet when you're pregnant, you need different and crave different things. So if you're listening to your body there, you're starting from like ground zero all over again, like figuring this stuff out, right?
Well, so that was actually like another launching point that I feel like actually really helped me because before I would not eat before I would go for like an easy run because it was like trying to cut calories in some way. But when I was pregnant, I was like, oh, I need to make sure I'm getting enough calories like while I'm doing this. So I'm going to eat right before I run and right after I run. And little did I know, I started to like understand that I needed to do that even when I wasn't pregnant. And that has also helped me like a ton, where I was like, wow. And that got me in the habit of like actually fueling like way more correctly because I needed to eat so much like while I was pregnant.
All right. Meg eats graham crackers before her run. I occasionally will.
Yeah.
What do you do? What are you doing pre-run?
So I really like oatmeal, just like a simple peanut butter, oats, and honey and salt.
You and Megan.
Yeah.
Megan does maple syrup instead of the honey, but it's peanut butter, oatmeal.
Yep.
So easy.
Can't go wrong. Yeah.
But sometimes if I'm like really in a crunch, I'll just do like banana and peanut butter, but I just always try to get something like that's like a little bit dense, like 100 to like 150 calories at least. And then
You should get her on Fuel for the Soul.
Yeah, we host another podcast that's all with a sports dietitian because I suffered from leg cramps forever in the marathon and I couldn't figure it out, and I was thinking it was all these other things, and it turns out it was like hydration and nutrition related. Like I was just like I wasn't eating before runs, and we learn the hard way, and it's so crazy now once you figure it out. Like not only how much better do you feel, but you perform better.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Which even now, I feel like I'm still like these like to go back to your original question, like of figuring it out. I'm still trying to understand what like my body responds to, when to feed it, like and even to just like up the calories that I can get because it's not comfortable to eat while you're running. I'm like, I'm not hungry yet, but I need to practice like eating every 3 miles or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
I see some similarities here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what is next for you? Like what are you training for? What's happening?
Great question. So I'll be 3 months postpartum next week. So right now I feel like I've kind of just gotten through like, where certain things were hurting just a little bit and having to like really just course correct a lot and make sure I'm building off of like a sure foundation, because that was really important to me to just, I'm not going to build off of something faulty, especially when you hear like of other women coming back and they're like, I came back way too fast and this started happening. And you're like, what does that mean? Anyway, so being healthy first and foremost is always going to be like the next thing, and is the past thing and is the present thing. It's like just making sure you're healthy. But I think I'm going to try to jump in a local race here, which is called Des News. And it's a little bit of a downhill. Well, the first mile is a lot of bit of a downhill. So that'll be fun. But it's at altitude. And then the last 2 miles, kind of climb back up. But it's a fun race to be a part of. And that'll be like kind of low key to jump in there. But my real first race that I'm gearing up for is I'm looking at McCurdy Marathon. You guys heard about that?
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't have the standard yet because I've been a little busy. So I'll hopefully be ready for that. We'll see how training goes. And that's in October. So I'm excited for
What
that.
made you want to do, I mean, I know that you get bottles and it's a great location and it should be set up perfect for the OTQ, but why would you choose that over, like a Chicago or a big race?
I don't think I'll be ready for like a huge race. And even if I am ready, I just don't want that to be the focus. I want the focus to just be that something like low key. It's just about the time and not like just like the least amount of stress possible to be able. Yeah, I guess that's why. Because I could do a different marathon. It just seems like more variables would be added to appearances or whatever, just having to show up for other people or like for the race rather than for me. So I think that's why I kind of chose McCurdy.
I like it.
So marathon, is that the big goal now? Are we going towards that?
Honestly, I just think the cycle is so helpful for anything else I want to do. I don't think it is the big goal for me. I just want to enjoy it and understand it a little bit more, and just like accumulate the mass and strength that you get from the marathon buildup. And so ideally, I would be able to qualify at McCurdy, have a good like marathon buildup, and then have another marathon buildup for the trials. Enjoy and just have a good time racing against some of the fastest women in the nation, and then use that strength that I've accumulated to just nail some 5K, 10K for the track. Because that just sounds fun to me.
Yeah.
So,
I like that approach. That it seems more relaxed.
Yeah.
It seems more like your enjoyment is what's important, not so much the time or the accolades.
Yeah, right. It's more the accolade. It's like the accolades. Just, I mean, like I even talked about with like mentioning people. I couldn't name everyone's accolades. Like they just come and go, and nobody remembers. Like people remember, how you made them feel. That quote. Like
Yeah.
happened. So just.
Well, you made us feel good.
Yeah.
You guys are making me feel good. This is a great conversation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we are super excited to follow your journey to McCurdy and beyond.
And we will be at the trials.
Yeah, we'll definitely be there. And hopefully you will be there towing the line as well. And thanks for
Do you have a qualifier, Megan? Are you going?
No,
She's going for it.
I have 10 minutes to drop, so we'll see how that works. But
Totally doable. So wait, what's your next
It
race?
is.
Chicago.
Okay, Chicago. That's a good one. You're gonna do great.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll
Thanks.
be pulling
I'm
for
pretty
you.
excited. I'm going to spectate.
On the line for you.
Nothing. I'll hold your baby if you want to come. I'll hang out with Mike.
Yeah, that'd be
So
great.
wait, okay, McCurdy, will you rent a van and take the whole fam with? Like, is this a family adventure, all of these events?
If only it were on the West Coast, I would do that. But
Okay.
Yeah.
in New York, and so we'll probably just fly out. And I'll probably try and make that as least stressful as possible. So
You know what you should do for fun?
what?
You should come to Falmouth.
And really,
Yeah, it's 7 miles. You could kick some
August.
butt. August.
Was it
Great
August?
for the family. It's right on
Yeah, you should do that one.
thing.
really,
We're gonna be there.
you'll be there.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
And
So obviously,
The
yeah.
best thing is last year after the race, we all jumped in the ocean, and that was fun.
good. And 7 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Rolling hills.
It's rolling hills. It's kind of nice. Maybe I will come do that. That sounds fun. I don't know if I could not race though, if I were to go out there.
No,
Yeah,
you should race
would.
it.
You
Oh,
probably.
great. Oh, I thought you were saying run it easy. You're saying,
No.
Well-
Yeah, I don't think you can. You and Megan, Megan.
You can pace me to running fast, so that would be easy for you. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
Are we getting matching speed suits?
Yes.
Oh wait, that would be so great. I'm gonna look
I'm
into
in.
it. I
Okay.
need some races on the schedule. So
It's sponsored by Asics, by the way.
Yeah.
I know. I did know that. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So yeah, you got an in.
You guys are full of good ideas. This is great.
We got lots of ideas.
All right, McKenna, we won't keep you any longer because I know you have a very needy family that loves you and wants you. So we'll let you go back to them. But thank you so much for chatting with us today. This was very, very fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great to get to know you a little better.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. It's great.